Video games are much more than just a distraction. They're a way to tell a story. Some of these plots are quite simple, while others are incredibly confusing. Players often play games to find out what happens. However, some players leave no stone unturned and have come up with plenty of crazy, unthinkable theories about the games they love. That's why we've compiled a list of 10 great fan theories that ruined your favorite video games. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our awesome videos, and click that bell to become part of our notification squad. Cloud kills Aerith. Final Fantasy VII. Aerith's death in Final Fantasy VII is one of the most famous and heartbreaking moments in video game history. Sephiroth descends from above and impales her through the chest, causing her body to slump over and fall. After a quick battle, Cloud takes Aerith's body to the center of the city and lays it to rest in a deep pool. It's a touching and beautiful moment. This fan theory gleefully throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing by claiming it was Cloud, not Sephiroth, who killed Aerith. Of course, not for want of trying on Sephiroth's part. The theory states that the wound through Aerith's torso was not enough to kill her. Sephiroth's sword pierced too low to hit any vital organs. While it might have clipped less vital organs or even major arteries, the lack of blood in the cutscene suggests otherwise. However, the sword is in the exact position it would need to be in order to break the T7 vertebrae of the spine. An injury there would cause near full body paralysis, and the shock would knock her unconscious. So just because she slumped over and closed her eyes, it doesn't mean she died. So how does Aerith die? Well, according to the theory, she drowns. Cloud's actions, while well-intentioned, caused Aerith to drown. Talk about being buried alive. One long escort mission. Call of Duty. Escort missions suck. They require you to protect an NPC from harm so they can get from one place to another in one piece. Babysitting NPCs is obnoxious since you have no control over what they do. Sometimes they get in the way or set off enemy hordes. Give them a gun and half of the bullets end up in you. It's a miracle if you can finish the mission without shooting your charge first. This fan theory states that all of the games in the Call of Duty franchise are just one long escort mission. The person being escorted? Why, that would be you, of course. Yup. You are the unwanted charge in Call of Duty. Other characters are always telling you where to go and what to do. They need you to fill in one plot device or another. The other characters always need to rescue you. When you die, you respawn next to them. They are the real hero. You're just that useless tag-along that no one cares about. If that's true, it's quite a change of pace compared to most video games. Call of Duty's supposed to be a power fantasy. Instead, you're just acting as the Robin to someone else's Batman. Town is a mental ward. Animal Crossing. There are a lot of nasty fan theories about this otherwise completely harmless game. The Animal Crossing franchise is about owning a home in a cute little village full of animal people and being a good neighbor to all the animals of your village. Sounds pretty innocent, right? However, the most popular fan theory states that the games revolve around abducting children and indoctrinating them into a cult. You're probably thinking, how does anyone come up with a theory like that? Well, surprisingly, there's another equally disturbing theory. According to this theory, the games are simply the delusions of a mentally ill child. Your neighbors are merely the stuffed animals that the child plays with and speaks to. They're the child's only friends. While that does explain how there are plenty of talking animals in the village, it's still really weird. The various personalities of your neighbors are just extensions of the child's emotions. Even the letters received from your mother come to the child in the insanity ward as a way for her to keep in touch. That is why the backstory doesn't need to be explained. Animal Crossing isn't just a happy little game, it's an escape from reality. Glados is a gagged human. Portal. Portal is another one of those games with a bunch of theories flying around. Everything from the identity of Shell's parents to how the weighted companion cubes are filled with dead bodies. Any crazy theory you can think of has been thrown at this game, but this particular theory is enough to give you chills. During the commentary in Portal, one of the developers talks about how they chose the design for Glados. One of the early concepts was to model her after Botticelli's Birth of Venus. She would have looked like an upside-down version of Venus. Of course, the design was slightly altered in the final game. This theory states that Glados is actually an upside-down woman who's been forcefully bound and gagged. Glados' real intention was to have Shell put her out of her misery. In order to obtain this goal, Glados kept reviving Shell clones until one of them was finally able to free her. This theory was created before Portal 2 was released. However, if anything, the reveal that Glados is really Caroline only makes this theory that much more plausible. Steve Bowler, the creator of the theory, even drew a reference picture on his blog. You are the villain. Limbo. Limbo is an indie adventure game with lots of puzzles and even more atmosphere. You play as a young boy trying to traverse the dangerous world towards some unknown goal. Traps, giants, spiders, and even other kids all stand in your way. Each one does their best to bring about your end. Once you complete the game, you fall through a pane of glass onto a grassy hill. When you walk up the hill, you find a little girl who's confirmed to be your sister, sitting in the light and playing with something on the ground. She sits up, and the game returns to the title screen. There are many theories surrounding Limbo. Everyone universally agrees that the main character is dead. Many believe the sister is also dead. One theory suggests that the little girl is not dead at all. She's sitting in the light, something that's very rare in Limbo, and does not ever look at the boy. Your goal in the game is to find your sister so you can drag her into Limbo with you. That is why the other children attack you on sight. That's why even the environment does everything in its power to prevent you from getting to her. It's a really interesting theory. It's Just a Dream. Five Nights at Freddy's. There are few indie games that are so widely known as the Five Nights at Freddy's series, except for maybe Undertale. Scott Cawthon released the first Five Nights at Freddy's game in 2014 for the PC. The game features a lone security guard trapped in his night shift at a Chuck E. Cheese-esque pizza parlor, complete with homicidal animatronics that house the souls of murdered children, because giant animal animatronics just weren't scary enough. Since then, the series has received multiple sequels, 2 spin-off titles, and even a book. While we're all aware that the 4th game in the Five Nights at Freddy's series takes place in the nightmares of a dying child, MatPat from The Game Theorists proposes that the first game also takes place in a nightmare. He draws parallels from a real-world murder spree in a Chuck E. Cheese to the murders of 5 children in the first game. Talk about creepy. The theory proposes that you play as the murderer who's haunted by his actions. You can't quit your job because it isn't a job at all. And the reason why everything ends at 6 a.m. on the dot is because that is when you wake up. Playtime for Sakurai. Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Is a dream come true for Nintendo fans. The game lets you pit your favorite characters in an all-out brawl. While Super Smash Bros. Is more focused on the multiplayer aspect of the game, it isn't devoid of single-player campaigns. The first game has you fight through a series of challenges before facing Master Hand in the final stage. Experienced players can also encounter Crazy Hand in Super Smash Bros. Melee if they clear Classic Mode fast enough. The role Master Hand and Crazy Hand play is somewhat unclear in the Smash Bros. Universe. One theory, which was confirmed to be true, states that the characters in the Smash Bros. Games are simply toys. Every fight is a scenario created by an imaginative kid during playtime. However, a second theory continues this idea. The second theory wraps all of the games into a singular timeline. It follows the life of a boy as he grows up. But this isn't just any boy, but the series creator Masahiro Sakurai. The series represents Sakurai as he creates the games, but becomes tired and trapped in an endless cycle as he's forced to create sequels. Master Core, the final boss in Smash Bros. 4, is Sakurai himself as he comes to terms with his inability to escape the franchise. The Souls of the Dead. Super Mario World. There are a lot of rather twisted theories about Mario. Some say he's a communist, others say he's a murderous psychopath, and even more claim he aids Princess Peach and her parasitic fungus minions, the Toads, in their quest to take over the Mushroom Kingdom. One theory follows the path of Mario being a mass murderer and takes it a step further by claiming the coins in Super Mario World are the souls of his victims. Coins are everywhere in the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. You collect them as you run through the various levels. For every 100 coins you find, you get an extra life. In Super Mario World, if you destroy an enemy with a fire flower, you get a coin. According to the theory, these coins are the souls of your victims. The only reason why they appear when the fire flower is used is because the fire disintegrates the body and leaves only the soul behind. Mario isn't just a murderer, he collects souls in order to increase his own lifespan. This wouldn't be the first time Mario's murdered. The game instruction manual for the original Super Mario Bros. States that every hovering block is actually a polymorphed resident of the Mushroom Kingdom. Every brick you break is one more soul to add to Mario's ever-increasing body count. Triforce of Courage. The Legend of Zelda. The Triforce is a powerful artifact. It contains the powers of the 3 goddesses Din, Furore, and Nayru. The Triforce is capable of granting a wish to any worthy person who touches it. However, if the person is not worthy, it breaks into 3 pieces: the Triforce of Wisdom, the Triforce of Power, and the Triforce of Courage. The Triforce of Power grants a person a massive amount of magical power. The Triforce of Wisdom offers its bearer the ability to communicate telepathically and see into the future. However, it isn't clear what the Triforce of Courage does. This theory states that the Triforce of Courage grants its user some form of immortality. If Link should die, the Triforce of Courage simply moves him into a reality where he didn't die. This allows Link to learn from his mistakes so that he doesn't repeat them. The Legend of Zelda franchise has 3 canonical timelines. Under this theory, it has an infinite number of realities as you bounce from one failed reality into the next until you finally defeat Ganon and save the day. But that doesn't mean those other realities don't exist. For every victory, there are a countless number of worlds where the hero dies and evil triumphs. The true villains, Destiny. It isn't a secret that Destiny's story and lore was gutted before its initial launch. Most of the lore was placed onto grimoire cards that had to be viewed on the Bungie website. What's left is fairly bare bones. According to the lore, humanity entered a golden age after the Traveler came to Mars. It shared complex technology with humanity that allowed them to enter into an age of prosperity and unparalleled growth. After a few hundred years, the darkness arrived and caused everything to collapse. Humanity sheltered under the Traveler, protected by its light until it too died. However, it used the last of its light to create ghosts, tiny sentient robots that could revive dead warriors to fight the darkness. Most just assume that the Traveler is a force for good, but one theory says otherwise. The darkness is in fact a bringer of life. The Black Garden, where this god resides, is described in the grimoire cards as a place of life. Conversely, the light and the Travelers are harbingers of death. The Traveler's champions, the Guardians, only purpose is to kill. The Traveler was the reason for humanity's downfall, and they weren't the first race to suffer. The Fallen, one of the main enemies in the game, were previous victims of the Traveler. Who's the enemy now? Well, now these games are completely ruined. I will never be able to look at my favorite games the same way again. Let us know of any fan theories that ruined your favorite video games in the comments section below. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with our awesome playlist. Thanks for watching.